We're going live here, Summer.
Here we go.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. And there's no delay today?
Nope.
All right, it's looking good.
Good.
Looking promising. I'm just checking. Lucy, are we here? Can you hear that we're live? Just going to check all bases here.
It's happening again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. It's doing that thing again. Wait a minute, it's doing it again. Oh God. Good. Right. Now, I think I've killed it. I hope I have. Pause it as well. Okay.
And now it's frozen up.
I'm just going to check with Lucy as to whether there is something coming up that's going. We're live. Is there any interference coming that you can hear? Just want to clear that first so that we've got a Mercury is in its retrograde shadow, and therefore we have to make sure. Okay, so yeah, it's fixed. Lucy says it's fixed. Great. Okay, so it is my great honor and joy and pleasure today to welcome you, dear Summer, to be with us today.
It's my pleasure to be here. I love it. Nowhere else I'd rather be right now.
Oh, wow. Well, it really is an honor to have you here, and we've got a few questions today. So I thought maybe we'll, if it's all right with you, Summer, we'll start with a few of the questions and see where it takes us. Is that all right with you?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
But can I do show and tell first?
You can do anything you like.
Yeah. Anybody recognize this from Bracha's previous videos? It's a Pleiadian painting, and it's in my hands, in my heart, and I love it. It's so beautiful. I wish you could see how gorgeous it shimmers, and it dances, and it's alive. It's just beautiful. Thank you, Bracha.
Oh, thank you so much.
Perfect place to hang it. I just
appreciate
moved
that.
here, so I'm going to hang it up. I have a perfect place for it, but I want it so it catches the light and everything. So, yeah.
Oh, well, I hope that it's going to bring you lots of new energies, vibrancy, good health, everything good coming.
All good
with
things.
that.
Thank you very much. Back at you.
Thank you. Right. You're catching me in a minute here, aren't you? It's good. There's no preparation anymore. There's no preparation. We've got to just live what comes, haven't we? All right. So we're getting quite a lot of questions, as I imagine that you would know, all around the vaccination. And a specific question from somebody is, her husband has been vaccinated, and she's concerned as to the spike proteins and whether that might be affecting her body negatively or not. So
right.
There's a lot of sort of questions around that, but there's maybe just one to start with.
Well, from what I understand from Dr. Peebles, of course, I'm not a doctor, and I don't have the I don't have the background, but from what I remember, Dr. Peebles shared about that is he said, I guess there's something called the spike proteins. People are worried about them shedding, and he said it's sort of like by the time they're shedding, it's like old skin. It's not. He said it's not really anything to be concerned about. From the spiritual perspective, though, there's never anything to be concerned about. I mean, ultimately, we should just be living our lives in love and in trust and faith in God, and knowing that everything is always in right order, and no matter what happens, it's intended to be the way that it is. I mean, of course, we can take precautions and we can do certain things that the things that are in our heart. So usually what Dr. Peebles would be saying in answer to that would be, what feels right to you, and how do you want to handle that, and how would you interact with your husband, or maybe you put your husband and being with your husband as the priority over being concerned and afraid of the spike proteins, or even afraid of death, because I know a lot of people are afraid of dying. And that's why this thing is taking such hold in the world, is because of this tremendous fear and of death, I think, that people have. And I don't have that in me, I guess, because I believe so strongly that everything that happens here is in right order. And if I'm meant to die today, then that's my destiny. And I know that my life is not over then. My life is eternal. So I don't see it in terms of like, oh my God, I've got to spend my life running away from death. I'd rather spend my life living. So
beautiful. Thank you, Summer.
Not everybody would agree with that. I know that, and that's okay. But that's just my perspective. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And I think that you will have soothed a lot of hearts and souls with those comments. Yeah, it's very soothing and very calming. So there's been a lot of questions around radiation, 5G, Wi-Fi, protection. Just if there's any comments you'd like to say about
and again, the things that I understand from my work with Dr. Peebles is, and for the people who don't know, maybe there's some new people joining us. I'm a trance medium for Dr. James Martin Peebles, who died in 1922. And I've been channeling him since December 4th of 1994. I'm a full body channel, and he comes through and uses my vocal cords and everything to speak. And maybe I'll demonstrate that later for you. But the 5G and other things, the way that Dr. Peebles has talked about that in the past, and even let me even put into that category foods and things that you think might be harmful to you, chemicals in foods that you think might be harmful to you, etc. Now, this probably runs against your scientific, mind and that sort of thing. But from the spiritual perspective, what he says is that if we, for example, think we're going to catch a cold, we literally are catching it. It's there. It's all the time. There's viruses and all kinds of things in the air, and there's 5G, and there's microwaves, and there's radio waves, and there's thought forms as well, that we can pick up on as well. But it's a matter of just saying, okay, you're here, but go ahead and pass on through, and if you are really standing in a place of love and trust and honoring of everything, it's not going to stick with you. It's not going, if you're thinking about the 5G and, oh my God, is it going to hurt me? Where is it? It's got to be here somewhere. I know it's coming at me. I know it's going to get me. I know it's going to hurt me. I know it's going to tangle my mind. Well, you're just doing that to yourself, really. Ultimately, you're acknowledging the 5G that frankly is already within you, because everything's contained within. We're really living life from the inside out. So you bring your 5G fears to the surface and you manifest that reality. And that's the spiritual perspective of it. Dr. Peebles has also said certain things like, we don't really understand. A lot of people just don't understand how remarkable the human body is and how incredibly adaptable it is. Because these changes have been happening on the earth for a very, very long time. And there have been a lot of technologies that we've never been told about before. I'm pretty sure 5G has been around a lot longer than we've even heard about it. And so, realize that we are very adaptable creatures. And even again, with things like the foods that we eat and the chemicals and all this other stuff, of course, you don't want to overdo anything, but at the same time, we are able to process a tremendous amount of garbage, that we bring into our body or that might permeate our bodies. And a lot of it really has to do with transforming the energy that comes in. It's, I know that there are some remarkable yogis, for example, who used to back in the 60s demonstrate that they could take a full handful of LSD pills and take them, and it didn't alter their state at all, because they knew they were in charge. They didn't put the power in the pills. They were in charge of who they are and how they're going to manifest that in their physicality. And so they were showing that they were not affected by it. So, there's people who smoke cigarettes and they love smoking and they love their cigarettes. I had an ex-husband of mine, he used to smoke all the time. And I was concerned, oh my gosh, are you going to get lung cancer, this and that, because he'd been smoking for 40 years or something. And he went to the doctor and his lungs were completely clear because he loved smoking. If you're smoking with, oh, this is going to hurt me, this is going to hurt me, you're just putting that thought form in yourself every time you take a puff. So that's the spiritual perspective. Again, that's not, textbook or anything else. We're talking about us as spiritual beings in a physical body, and that our bodies are not our bodies are at the mercy of our spirit. Our spirit is not at the mercy of our body.
Wow. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. And I think that is possibly one of the reasons that we are going through, shall we say, a huge dislocation of all our systems. All the things that we've been reliant on are going.
Mhm.
And we're having to learn that it's all inside of us, and
Yeah.
to be able to access that power, that miraculous ability
Yeah.
you've got. Please.
Really, it's all energetics, it's all frequency. There's some beautiful things you can do if you take your glass of water and you give it love. I might have mentioned this the last time, and you say, I want my water imbued with all the beautiful things in the universe that are good for me, and the frequencies will get in there, you're taking that in with conscious awareness that is what you want to create in your life, and acknowledging it. So it's, we have a lot more control than we're told that we have over our lives. We are all intuitive beings. Whether you know it or not, you're intuitive. Whether you know it or not, you are psychic. Whether you know it or not, you're being communicated with all the time by all kinds of things that you cannot see. It could be just as simple as you walked past your dishwasher this morning and thought, I think I'm going to need a new dishwasher, but it's running fine. Well, the dishwasher is saying, hey, I'm about to give it up here. I'm about to break. And then it does. That afternoon, you go, oh my God, how did I know that? Because everything is energy. Everything is connected. Everything is consciousness. And if we understand that, we feel we can be very empowered by that.
Yes. And not feel as though we are victims to our situations and the global wider picture. We're not.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've been asked whether you yourself do any channel drawings or art.
No, I don't. Not at all. No, I used to do art when I was younger. I don't know if it was channeled, but no, I haven't done any channeled art. I've tried the automatic writing and letting my hand move by itself and stuff, and that's quite fun, but I haven't had too much success with the outcome from that. That's going to take more practice if I were going to do that.
Somebody mentioned that during the first month of lockdown in London, the earth just began to heal itself so quickly. It was really noticeable.
Exactly.
And that people have been praying these, and what more can we do now? Yeah, what more can we do as people think that they're getting back to some kind of a normal life? So,
what can we do in what way?
In terms of the earth, supporting the healing of the earth.
Oh, wow. I think part of that is just going to be taken care of rather naturally. I know that because of the lockdowns and some of the things, when people were staying home and working from home and educating their children from home and that sort of thing, a lot of people don't want to go back to work, and a lot of people aren't. So I think part of it is going to be taken care of just by that. And people, not driving on the freeway so much and that sort of thing. And I know my brother he's not going to have to go back to work now. They've found out that it's just wonderful that he's working from home, and it actually is more efficient and they get more done. And so I think that's a part of it, as far as Mother Earth is just praying for her. There is something that might tie in too to the 5G thing. So there's an exercise that we can do, and it's very simple. I don't do it nearly enough, in fact, hardly at all. But when I do it, I'm really happy I do it, and it's so simple. So you take your hands and point them to the floor, put your feet flat on the floor, and just point your palms to the earth. And you just close your eyes and just sit and just let the, whatever it is, gunk drain out of you. And if you do this, especially like if you're a channel or something like that, and you just want to clear out maybe some of that stuff that you've taken on from somebody Earth. And what Dr. Peebles says is Mother Earth is the thing that causes illness. It's where there's this, it's to release the static, kind of like when you turn off your computer and it crackles, and you know the end, it ends beautifully, you know, and it shuts down. That's what we're doing when we point. It's all locked up. That's Bracha. What? Huh.
Hi, Summer.
My goodness.
Whoa, that was intense.
Yeah. What did you hear anything that I was able to share?
Nothing at all. My internet cut out. It just went absolutely dead. I'm so sorry. It was just couldn't take our frequencies, you know. It was just too much.
You know, it's funny, that very well could be. I was doing a television interview with the Sci-Fi Channel, I think it was, or the History Channel or something, and they wanted me to channel Dr. Peebles, and I said okay, but they had like $100,000 camera, and I said I'm not responsible if your equipment goes out, and and they laughed and they said, oh yeah, and I went into trance and they went, stop, there's something wrong with the camera. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. This is it. And you had us all tuning in together. People were actually activating their frequency. That was as far as we got.
Right. Oh, okay.
And then the internet went.
Yeah. So did you hear anything I said about static electricity and
nothing?
So okay. So when we do that, what Dr. Peebles says is we're just releasing static electricity from our bodies, and because you don't have to do anything, it's not a magical like, ooh, you know, I've got to chant ohms or anything. You can just start feeling it being pulled out of your body. You can feel it draining out of your hands, and it goes into Mother Earth, and Mother Earth loves the static electricity, he says, because it holds her together. But in our bodies, the static buildup can cause all kinds of aches and pains and illnesses and that sort of thing. So it's just like with a computer or a television set, you shut it down, it makes that little crackly noise sometimes because the static is just, you know, draining out, and it's being reset. So it's sort of like hitting the reset button. So it also is good if you think, oh gosh, I've been exposed to 5G today and I'm so concerned about that, or spike proteins or whatever, then just close your eyes, point your palms to the floor, and let it all drain out of you. Don't hold on to it, let it drain out, you know. And it's a very super simple technique that doesn't require any special training or anything. It just happens. Yeah. Oh, and I had a friend who's an electrician who said that's really true, actually.
Wow.
Because from an electrical standpoint, we are very much connected with the earth and that sort of thing. And he's very aware of that. So, and he's not a woo-woo. He's just an electrician from New Jersey.
It's great because you can do it anywhere. Yeah, wherever
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah, you can do standing in line at the grocery store
or anything, that's fantastic. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Somebody has mentioned that you've said a few times that we can all contact Dr. Peebles ourselves without having to go through you. But somebody said, she has imaginary conversations and she doesn't know whether what she's hearing is true or not true. Whether you could perhaps comment on that, please, Summer.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way that I trained myself was to just trust the things that I heard and follow through on them, and of course it's going to be loving things. It's not going to be like, oh, go kill your grandma or something, it's going to be, go to the grocery store right now. Oh, okay, I'm going to trust that. I don't really have anything I need there, but I'm going to go and find out why. And then you go there and the question maybe that you're carrying in your heart for a while has been, oh God, I really want to meet my soulmate. So you go to the grocery store and there is your soulmate in front, and you're like, oh my God, you meet the person of your dreams. And that's the way that the universe helps you. But sometimes, we're not trained to pay attention to that still small voice within. We're not trained to pay attention and follow through on that. But if you do, you'll start to develop a sort of a awareness of communication, of how God, Spirit, Dr. Peebles, your loved ones on the other side, how they communicate with you. There's a spirit named George who I knew on Earth when I was little. And George passed away when he was 40, very suddenly left the body. There was no medical reason as to why. Well, that was kind of the way he was. He just went off on an adventure and just didn't come back. And but he was really amazing because I would have my students tune into George and they would nail it almost every time as to who George is, what he was like, and all of this stuff. And he had this incredible ability to communicate through songs, music. You could be driving in your car and you say, George, give me a song. I need a song that has meaning in my life right now. You turn the radio on and sometimes the song that was playing would go off the air and a new song would play. And it would be right in alignment with what you needed to hear in that moment. And you start developing this sort of, communication with spirit. And but it's almost like some of it is very symbolic. It might mean that every time you're talking to spirit, you go, why do I see fireworks when I ask these questions? I often see fireworks in my mind. Well, feel it. Is it a yes or a no maybe that they're trying to tell you? What are those fireworks about? You have to probe a little bit. Why are you showing me fireworks? And they're like, because that means yes. So every time you see fireworks and you're talking to spirit, that's your yes. That's your symbolic relationship and language that you have developed with spirit. But it takes time and it takes trust. It takes a tremendous amount of trust, a willingness to surrender and test the waters, and you can say, look, give me some gentle guidance that I can follow through on. If you have trepidation and you're afraid of being wrong, maybe it is just, well, okay, then would you go to the grocery store right now? Okay, I will do that. I will follow through. And you've got to follow through. You got to do your homework. You can't they're not going to move you around like a chess piece. Darn it.
Yeah. Shucks. Yeah, really. It seems somebody else shared that the energy is going faster. Yeah, there's an intensity. And yet we're having to slow down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like there's this. And how can we adjust to this? Yeah, because there may be more lockdowns, there may be more situations where we've got to go inside. Any comments like that?
Well, yesterday, Dr. Peebles actually talked about that and said it's sort of like think of a rushing river, and you're in it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna drown. It's going so fast. He says, no, surrender, relax, release, surrender. and float. Imagine you're just floating on the surface along with that current. So there's a peacefulness in you, even when the waters are raging like that. There's just this peacefulness as you're just being moved by the current, rather than fighting against it or trying to go against it or praying and wanting it to stop. It's not going to stop. So what can you do? You can surrender into the moment. And I think that's, I think that's pretty much the way to handle something like that. In the lockdown times, I think of the fact that there's been some really amazing, incredible humans who have been, locked in captivity for years and years on end and emerged doing great things, without fairly unscathed, because when they were locked out from the world, they went inside of themselves. I can't remember who told me this, and I can't remember the name of the guy, but there was a guy who was in prison for, I don't know how many years, 4 years or something. And during that time, he was a golfer and he loved to play golf. So while he was there, he had nothing else to do. So he decided to close his eyes and imagine he was playing golf. And he imagined his golf swing and he felt it in his body. And when he came out of prison, they said, "What do you want? What's the first thing you want?" He said, "A hamburger and I want a round of golf." And they thought, oh, he's not going to be able to hit the ball. He hit the ball better than he had ever hit it. Wow. So, what can you do is the question when you're in lockdown. What do you have control over? What do you have charge of? You have charge of yourself. You have charge of your heart. You have charge of your thoughts. Where are you going to take yourself in those moments? And one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever heard from Dr. Peebles was talking about this Joan of Arc. She was burned at the stake, right? Is that the right? Am I correct with that? Yeah. And he talks about how Joan of Arc was being burned at the stake, but while she was, her faith was so deep, and the only thing that she noticed was not the pain, but the beauty of a butterfly that was flying through the crowd. Can you imagine having that kind of focus on the things that are beautiful and good and right in the world, even in a situation like that? I thought that was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever heard.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And really, I think the struggles that people go through is because we are waiting to be a lot of times moved around like a chess piece. Why isn't God taking care of this? Why isn't God doing this? Why isn't God doing that? I went through a lot of abuse in my marriages, a lot. And I could have said, hey, why did I have to go through that? How dare you? Where were you, God? Why didn't you take care of me? Well, guess what? I got out fairly unscathed. With all the beatings and everything else, I have just one very, I have an issue with my jaw. But out of that, I came out fairly unscathed. And during that time, it was my choice to be there. I got myself in those situations. I married these men. I didn't trust my heart. I didn't trust my intuition. I gave them the benefit of the doubt rather than giving myself the benefit of the doubt. But when I was in those situations, God was there for me. And I remember one day I'd been thrown into a room and locked into this room, and I laid down and I said, I need help. And when I was on the floor and I just said, I need help, please, you've got to help me. And all of a sudden I looked up and there was this angel, I am sure was Archangel Michael. And I was literally had my hands on his feet, and he had white robes and he was so tall. And he assured me that I would be out and very safe very soon. And I was, so God and spirit do respond, but they also have to allow for us to have our own machinations about life. We've got to go through what we've got to go through for our growth. As a result of the years of abuse that I went through, I did a seminar about abuse that I gave away for free to anybody and everybody who wanted it, because I know that abused people don't have access to things like that. So it's online on my website for free as a download. I gave away over 303 CD sets to people, to anybody who wanted it around the world. There are people in Israel and Switzerland and all over the place, and if that was the purpose of me going through the abuse and coming out of there and saying, you know what, you might not want to go in there. There's a lot of briars and brambles. Here's how to avoid that. then it was worth it for me, because I'm here as an educator, a teacher, a spiritual teacher. And I wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to speak with knowledge about that had I not gone through it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Wow. But look how you transformed the energy that you went through. You didn't stay as a victim. Oh, poor me. You used it to help and contribute to other people's lives. So they wouldn't.
Definitely. And I'm not a victim. And I've actually, it's really kind of toughened me up in terms of knowing that, hey, I didn't deserve to be treated like that. Nobody does. Nobody deserves that. Ever. You don't treat people you love like that, and but it took a while for me to really understand I did not deserve that, because I think I verbally and mentally beat myself up, and that was reflected in my relationships. Never thought I was pretty enough or good enough or smart enough, or all those silly things that we go through as humans. So many ways we can be so cruel to ourselves. Oh my God.
Yeah. Much more cruel to ourselves than anybody else is necessarily.
Oh yeah, really.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So in your little book of channeling, which I've recommended to many people, and Lucy's been promoting it here, and I'd also like to say here, Summer does channel Dr. Peebles once a week, questions and answers. It's the best $10 you'll ever spend. I did it today. I listened, and it's just wonderful. It's so uplifting and very informative. And there's always information in there that's new. It's like, wow, couldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Really highly recommend checking that out. And Summer is posting all links as we speak live. But a lot of people have got fear around having the need, as though they need to protect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got to protect. I'm praying. And in your little book of channeling, you say, don't pray for protection. Be an open vessel. Mm-hmm. So perhaps you'd like to elaborate.
Yeah, and maybe I've changed my perspective on that a little bit by having worked with so many people now, teaching channeling. But I know some people really are afraid. And if you are afraid and you feel the need to surround yourself with white light or protect yourself in any way, shape, or form, I think you ought to do it, because otherwise you're just going to attract, if you're in a state of fear, you're just going to attract the things that you're fearing. So it's, but as a person who's self-taught in this process, I did this. The reason I'm doing it is because I was afraid of everything. I mean, everything. I was afraid of people, ghosts, you name it, my own image in the mirror. And I couldn't live like that anymore. And I just said, God, I cannot live like this anymore. And I just realized I needed to know that God's love, is supreme, reigns supreme in my life. If God created me and God loves me, then whatever God wants for me is my way to love God back. So I want what God wants for me, and I want to give that faith and trust to him. And I call God him. I know some people call him something else, but that's just the way I speak. And I said to God, I want to get rid of this fear. I don't know what this is. And of course, I didn't understand a lot of the things that I was afraid of. These were spirits that I was hearing and feeling and seeing, and everybody was telling me they were demons, but they weren't necessarily demons. Some of them were just like, yo, hey, hi, son, it's your spirit guide, and I didn't know that. But when I asked God that, I said, whatever your will is for me, I accept. And I laid down on my bed, stark naked, scared to death, shut the lights off, shut the doors. And I was in a recording studio. It was my bedroom at that point, in my parents' house. It had lead doors on it. It was so quiet. And I was so deathly afraid of the dark. Oh my God. And I did this every single night. And I laid there on my back. I didn't like sleeping on my back because I would go out of body, but I did that because it scared me. I just faced everything that scared me night after night for a year. And I had all kinds of amazing experiences. But at the end of a year, I was still me. And I realized, wow, so God really does love me. And none of this stuff is hurting me.
Yes.
A lot of people are afraid of ghosts but I've never really heard of a ghost actually hurting someone. You know, I know there's ghosts who throw knives and do these things. They might put not nice thoughts in people's heads and tell them to do things or something like that. But, you know, those are just spirits who are broken down and need our love and need upliftment. I mean, they're lost, they're scared, they're lonely, they're angry, because they don't understand what's going on. So, you know, I think that we need to love those beings. You know, people are afraid of demons. Well, they're not the boss of me, but maybe I can help them by saying, hey, you know what? Come on, it's a lot more fun to love. It feels really good, you know, and that's it. And that's what I did during ghost busting and stuff too. You know, I cleared houses and saw the spirits that were there, and a lot of them just want to be helped, really. They might not know it, but a lot of them just want to be helped. So,
Wow.
you know, it's really pathetic. One of the most pathetic things I ever heard. I was doing some work for this this man named Bill Everest. He was a professor down at ASU, at Arizona State University, and he was going in and with monitors and things to look for ghosts in these different houses and different ghost towns and other places, hotels and stuff. And I did remote viewing of that because I wasn't allowed to go with him, because he said, well, maybe you shouldn't go because I know you're going to want to clear them out. They had to actually sign papers that would say they will not release the ghosts, because that's how some of these places make their money. Is that sick or what? And I mean, now, if you have a fear of ghosts, now maybe that just opened your heart a little bit. Like, wait a minute, you know, don't these guys deserve some help? They're like a freak show.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I
Breaks
never
my
heard of that.
yeah. A lot of these places are making a lot of money off of letting camera crews and that sort of thing come in and you know, do their shows about ghosts and things like that. And they're making money off of these poor souls that are lost.
God, that's really, yeah. I shudder at that.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, gosh. Yeah, I mean, the internet's gone again. Hello, Summer, can you hear me? Summer? Whoever's online with us today is really, we're really being activated here. Summer, you're still there? You're still there? Summer?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I think you just released some ghosts.
Ah.
I think they got released. It was great. It was a load of them just went off. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear your last few sentences.
Oh, I'm not sure I remember at this point, but can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
You know, when you're live and it suddenly goes, and I know there are people, you know, we've got quite a few beautiful souls here with us. I just want to say at the very beginning on my journey into channeling, of which you have been just so instrumental as a key and a door opener, and making it a very safe space, because I never went through any of those terrible fears that I think a lot of people do go through. Thanks to you and your guidance, especially at the beginning when you invited me to invite the spirit of love, light, truth, and inspiration, to invite those energies, those spirits in. That just took away layers of fear. So I don't know if you'd like to speak on that.
Yeah, and you can hear me, right? Because it just went wonky a little bit.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
So so that is something that I would teach people is, in order to, let's say, channel Dr. Peebles, Archangel Michael, somebody who's a spirit of love that you would like to let speak to the world, you have got to raise your own vibration to match theirs, to match their frequency. And so it's like tuning a radio dial and finding the station. You tune it to a particular frequency and you lock it in. Well, you're tuning your frequency to the frequency of spirit. They have to actually lower their frequency a bit in order to connect with us. Like Dr. Peebles and I have to meet in the middle somewhere in order for him to speak through me, or the Pleiadians through you, and that sort of thing. So when I say, call upon the spirit of light, and you close your eyes and you just feel, what does the spirit of light feel like? And then you can start to feel it in your body. Some people are very resistant and say, I don't feel anything. It's like, well, then try to feel, really try to just conjure it up, feel it. What does light feel like? If you could feel the spirit of light as a being, what does it feel like to you? And then you say, okay, so now you're in the company of light. This is beautiful. And then I'm call upon the spirit of light, and I'm going to call upon the spirit of love. What does the spirit of love feel like? Now, in this process, of course, this can also trigger things for people. The spirit of love, that really is, what does love mean to you? Now, some people are like, love? I've never had a good time with love. Every experience I've had with love sucks. It's like, so you've got to go beyond that. You'll see that might be your block that blocks you from having contact with spirits. So you say, call upon the spirit of love. Let love reveal itself to you as to what love feels like. Don't try to think about it, but who is love? What does love feel like right now? Next time you do this, you might feel love feels a little different. Maybe love feels a little heavier today or something. And for some reason, I don't know. Yeah. So you call upon the spirit of light, love, inspiration, and then the spirit of truth. Now you're in good company. But what you're actually doing is you're finding those frequencies inside of yourself. You're bringing them up to the surface, and you're creating and generating this channel of energy into which spirit can now plug themselves and work through you. So it's a matter of how clear you are with yourself, how clear you are when you're building that energy, and how willing you are to surrender to it, trusting and surrendering completely, and that everything is in right order, and what's going to happen next is going to be a beautiful thing, and it's going to be coming from love because you're in a place of love. And you can't have anything, the dark doesn't understand the light, so the dark can't be there in that light that you've just created. And it's beautiful, but it's really a matter of clearing yourself out of any blocks, fears, concerns of self-doubt, maybe not believing you're worthy of this attention from God and spirit. I don't know why you would not be. You're a child of God. If my child walked into the room today at 34 years old, I'd be giving her a big old hug and kiss and introducing her to everybody. I wouldn't be saying, what the hell are you doing here? I mean, this is what God wants from us. God wants the connection as much as we want the connection with God. So it's building that frequency and clearing out your blocks and expectations and fears and all of that. What does that do for you? A lot, don't you think? If you were able to come into a place where you're not afraid, and you can surrender into any given moment, and you can be around pretty much any person, even people you don't like, and be like, oh, hi, I love you. What a way to live your life. I mean, it's so freeing. So freeing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's easier said than done, of course, in real life when there are certain characters who come in, it's like, oh, but
yeah, but it takes practice, and you need the validation. You need to know that this is real, and you'll get it, but you won't get it if you don't do it. So, and it's not necessary for anybody to do it. I mean, it's just people who are curious or wanting to develop that relationship with God or relationship with spirit. It's going to take some effort. I mean, Bracha, you and I live in totally different countries. We've never met physically, but we know each other deeply. We're very good friends. We love each other. And why? And how did that happen? Well, it didn't happen by us not writing to each other. It didn't happen by us not talking to each other. We made the effort to talk, to share, to write, to connect. And we also, in doing that, made an extreme effort to do so very vulnerably so that we could really get to know each other. So it's like you and I don't hold back when we talk. We're just out there, you know.
That's it.
And so that's the way that it is with God and spirit. It's just, you've got to be real, and you've got to be willing to take that time to make that connection. I mean, how many hours does somebody spend in front of a television set or texting on a telephone or playing Candy Crush or something, you know? I mean, if you put that energy into your relationship with God, I can assure you it's going to be way more fun.
Wow. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And affect your life positively in every possible way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there are there more questions?
Well, we've kind of come to the end of the questions so far. I can ask if there's anything in the chat, or whether you want
to. Well, I can introduce you to Dr. Peebles if you want, but let's hope, please, keep the internet stable, please, Spirit, okay? We need a really good, strong connection so we don't lose this one, all right? And Dr. Peebles, you could tone it down maybe a little.
Okay, we're honored. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't even know. I have no idea what he's going to say or do or anything like that. So we'll just see, because he's him and I'm me. So I'll let him be himself, okay? I think I gotta, okay. How's this going to work? Have fun. God bless you, Dr. Peebles here. It is a joy and a blessing when man and spirit join together in search of the greater truths and awareness. God bless you indeed, my dear friends, as you strive to understand your right to receive and to give abundance. In this your chosen lifetime, we would like to offer to you the following principles to be used as tools in tandem. Number one, loving allowance for all things to be in their own time and place, starting for yourselves. God bless you indeed. Number two, increase communication with all of life and with respect. God bless you indeed. Number three, self-responsibility for your life is a creative adventure, for through your choices and perceptions, you do indeed create your own reality. God bless you indeed, my dear friends. You have come to the school called Planet Earth to discover and dissolve the illusions of separation within self and between life. Certainly it is your labor of love to diminish these very same illusions, wherein you will discover that never in your eternal soul have you been the victim, but always the creator and beautiful creator, students of the divine. We love you so very much, my dear friends. Goodness gracious, what a beautiful community you have here. Goodness gracious, understand each and every one of you that you are connected together right here and now. And certainly it is not just the energy of Bracha, and not just the energy of summer, and not just the energy of spirit here today, but your energy as well, collectively working here today. God bless you indeed. And the energy is high, and the energy is gracious and beautiful and wondrous, my dear friends. Take a nice deep breath, relax, release, surrender, and know how very much you are loved by us. God bless you indeed. You are beautiful spirits, students of the divine. Take a nice deep breath, relax, release, and surrender. At this given moment, we have human beings listening here from around the world. Collectively together, my dear friends, you can create change upon this school called Planet Earth. Relax, release, surrender. Close your eyes for a moment here. Take a nice deep breath. Now, the energy of the earth is certainly, if you will, accelerated, frenetic, frustrating in so many ways. But right here and now, my dear friends, feel the peace that is also there. Feel the stability that is real. Feel the calm that still exists, my dear friends. These are the frequencies that you want to begin to acknowledge here, rather than tying yourself into the frustrations, rather than tying yourselves into the accelerated energy. Relax, release, surrender, and ride the currents of those things that you truly want to have in your life. Peace, happiness, joy. Feel the gratitude for all of those things that are still there, my dear friends. They are not gone. They have never disappeared. They're just being ignored for this period of time on the earth by the many rather than the few. Good health is always there for you. Acknowledge it, my dear friends, and know that there is never anything to fear. Take a nice deep breath, relax, release, and surrender. And know that you are birthed from love. Doesn't matter what kind of parents you had or anything else. You are birthed from love, from the heart of God. You, my dear friends, are the exhale of God upon the earth. And God loves and appreciates each and every one of you. And you have the magnificence within you to create magnificent change in your life. You are the creator of your own reality. We want to thank so many of you, each and every one, for your kind thoughts, for the prayers that you have shared on behalf of the many rather than the few. We want to thank those of you who have truly concentrated your efforts upon helping the creatures of the oceans. For those of you who have helped to create a beautiful energy of light, to help the trees, to help this planet Earth. Those of you who have been willing not to be angry and subsequently have helped to quiet the flames of fire that have been raging upon the earth. You, my dear friends, you are a collective consciousness. You are a being within an incredible, if you will, energy. That of God, my dear friends, that of love. But you yourself, you're extraordinary. You have a unique gift, the gift of being you. Find out who that is, be certain of it. Surrender to yourself. Love and trust yourself. Put your awareness there, and that is where you will find and touch the face of God within. You are beautiful spirits, students of the divine, and we love you so very much. God bless you indeed, my dear Bracha. How are you today, my dear? We love you so very much. It's so wonderful to have the platform here, yeah? For a community to come together. What a remarkable thing you have created here with these beautiful spirits of like mind and like heart, yeah?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Peebles.
You are very welcome, my dear. Is there a question anybody might have there?
All right, let's see what's coming through. Thank you. We're all very touched here. Can feel people's hearts are just opening.
God bless you indeed. Thank you so very much. We feel it too.
Yes.
We love to feel your love.
Yeah. How can we facilitate connecting more deeply and vulnerably with one another here?
Well, really, there's only one way, isn't there, to do it, yeah? To connect deeply and vulnerably, you must first start with yourself. You've got to find your heart. You've got to learn what your truth is. And then you've got to love yourself enough to be able to share it. And that doesn't mean to share something from what you believe, your belief systems and that sort of thing, trying to shove it down people's throats or anything like that, but rather to bring these things to the surface so people can get to know who you are, what your perspectives are, if they care to hear it. And some might not, and some might walk away. And you will say, well, I was being vulnerable. I surrendered to myself. I gave of my life to the world, but people walked away from me. Well, isn't that wonderful, my dear friends? Now you know these are not the people you're going to be hanging out with so much, yeah? That perhaps there are more people out there of like mind and like heart. Wouldn't it be remarkable to have one friend who truly understands you, with whom you do not ever have to hide yourself, than to have several thousand people around you who you think really love you but don't really know you? The gift that you give to the world of yourself is where you start in terms of finding vulnerable and deep connections and relationships in your life.
Yes. Yes.
So many find themselves within relationships with a spouse, and they wonder why their spouse understands that you have never really shown your spouse who you are. You're trying to live up to what you think are expectations of you, perhaps. Or you're trying to live up to expectations of yourself to strive to change your spouse, rather than knowing that the only change that you really are in charge of is that within you. So that is where you struggle. You struggle against yourself all the time. Every human being upon the earth has a moment where there is self-doubt, where there is self-censorship, where one is afraid to show themselves to the world because they want to be very much liked by the world. But you're not being liked as you. If you're giving a falsehood, you're being liked for your falsehood. You're being liked as a liar, rather than giving your truth, being authentic, and trusting in God that God has given you everything, perfectly aligned within you. You're an absolutely remarkable being of light, love, inspiration, and truth. That is who you are, my dear friends. Reveal that. Change your life tremendously if you would be willing to have that sort of courage. It takes a lot of courage to be upon this school called Planet Earth. To reveal yourself is yet another step in that courageous adventure, that journey to your heart. God bless you indeed. And does that help, my dear?
Oh, yes, very much so. Many people are asking, how can they open their hearts more? How can they practice being trusting?
Yeah, once again, it's the same sort of answer. It's just, you've got to be trusting. You can't do it without trust. You see, sometimes you got to do it shaking in your boots, perhaps, yeah? But you trust. And you see what happens next, and you learn from it. One thing that you need to understand is there are no mistakes, my dear friends. There's only growth. As you are going through your life's adventures, and you do certain things, and you fall down, you pick yourself up and say, well, I'm not going to run that fast anymore over gravel. You learn something. Appreciate the fact that you have this ability. You are wise creatures. You are smart cookies. So remember that you, my dear friends, just need to take the step. And if you are afraid to take this step external to you by sharing of your heart with somebody, at least take the step with yourself. Inside, acknowledge who you are. At least you will know who you are. You won't be holding yourself at arm's length. And you will also, my dear friends, find and touch the face of God within. Share with God your heart. And share with Spirit your heart. Sit in an empty room and ask them to join you and speak your truth loudly. See how it feels. Get used to it. Find your heart, my dear friends. Be more loving. Understand that everybody upon this school called planet Earth, they're just learning and growing too. There's not one person on the planet Earth who has all the answers, except for you, for yourself, but not for everybody else. They're learning and growing and coming to understand themselves. They are your unique universe unto themselves. If you want to really get into a depth of study of the world, you would start to understand that every single solitary human being upon this school called planet Earth, each and every one of you, is a dimension unto yourself. Only you really know who you are. God knows who you are, and that is it. Isn't that fantastic? What a great friend you have there with you. Someone who understands your heart completely. God bless you indeed. And you'll start to realize, my dear friends, that you're also an ever-expansive being, learning and growing, and the learning never ends. You're going to come over here someday, and you're going to want to go do something else, learn something else, practice something else. But you're not going to be so afraid by that point. You'll realize that that's the joy of existence, the creative adventure of life that never ends. As I speak with you here today, I learn as well. It is so much fun to interact with human beings because sometimes you're a tough nut to crack. And it gives me some really strong challenges at times to assist you upon the earth for all of your angels and guides. Sometimes we're sitting there scratching our heads. We're learning and growing right along with you. Learning and growing about how we can love you more deeply, how we can assist you with your fears, your pains, and all the rest to help you find your heart. God bless you indeed. And does that help, my dear Bracha?
Oh, that helps immensely. Thank you very much, Dr. Peebles.
We will shortly we'll be allowing the dear channel to return. But is there anything further, my dear?
There was one last question, if this would be possible. We don't want to overtax you here.
That's all right, my dear.
People having disrupted sleep patterns because of the high intensity of the energies. Would you have any recommendations there?
Yeah, essentially you need to shut yourself down a bit. And we don't mean to hold life at arm's length by doing so, but rather just simply making it very clear when you go to bed at night that the energies of the world, they're going to still be there. People will be worrying, all sorts of things will be happening, but you'll say, you know something, I'm going to bed now. And I just want the world to know that I really am not inviting in their energies at this time because my body needs rest and I need rest. And you lay in your bed and you can wrap yourself in blue light if you like. And that will help to filter out anything that strives to come into you. The problem for so many of you who are listening here today is that you're extraordinarily empathic. And you care so deeply about the world, you care so deeply about life, that you let life in because you care. And it doesn't mean when you go to bed at night you stop caring, but now you're going to put the focus on yourself because the world needs you and they need you to have a good night's sleep. And so that you can think clearly and help and assist the many rather than the few during the daytime. But it's really a matter of at this time just setting up some parameters there and saying, my bedroom here, my bed, and my body are my sacred space at this moment here, and we're resting. And this is not a place for traffic to come through of any sort from the spirit realm, or for thoughts forms from anybody on the earth to come through at this time. But again, remember, a lot of you are just simply by your nature so empathic that that's hard for you to do. Because if somebody cries out for help in spirit, if somebody cries out for help on the opposite side of the world, there you go, rushing out of your body to go assist. But remember, my dear friends, you've got to fill up your own cup so that it can runneth over to others. So be certain to take care of you. There's not being selfish, it's not being self-centered. It's about being centered within yourself. God bless you indeed. Thank you so very much, Bracha, for this beautiful platform for community. We love you so very much. We love all the wisdom from all of the people who are listening here today. You're thinking about things that I've shared. You're looking at yourself and working upon yourself and redesigning yourself in magnificent ways. You are the greatest creation in your life. You are working upon that beautiful painting of yourself all the time. God bless you indeed, every moment of the day. And you, my dear friends, we love you so very much. Thank you so very much for keeping your light on upon this school called Planet Earth. We need you. God bless you indeed, as much as you think you need us. We need your assistance. That's why you're here. Courageous adventurers, light workers, one and all. We love you so very much, and go your way in peace, love, and harmony, for life is indeed a joy. And all you have to do is you enjoy the journey to your own hearts, and certainly to your own enlightenment. Is simply lighten up just a little bit more. God bless you indeed. Oh, wow. Hi. I'm back.
Wow. Thank you, Summer.
How did it go? Was it good?
It was fantastic. It was amazing. Just amazing. Thank you for doing that. That was.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, he nailed it. It was 9:30 when I came out of trance. We usually do about an hour, on this. So I guess he knew the time.
Gosh, that was just, thank you, Summer. Really, that takes a huge amount of energy, vast amount of energy. So
his energy was massive when he came in, and I could almost feel like when I would channel in front of an audience of 100 people, when he would come in, I could feel him kind of plugging into different people in the audience, like, oh, they came, oh, good, they made it, oh, da da da, because people would ask questions from the audience. And this had a similar feel to it, but it was massive because I could feel him like really reaching out to every single person who was watching and listening. And I could feel the expansiveness of his energy. It was not just here in my body in this room, it was big. So I don't know if you felt that or not, but
totally. I felt it. I didn't really have words as it was going on. I was a bit like,
wow.
It was quite difficult to ask questions because I felt so touched by the power of the energy.
Oh, wow.
Energy. So, wow. Thank you, Summer. Thank you for really.
You're very welcome. Thank you for this. It's just so much fun. I really appreciate it very, very much.
Huge. And Lucy will be promoting and sharing all those important links, and just thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who listened and tuned in today. I really appreciate you all so very much.
Really appreciate you.
And all the teddies too.
You're such a unique and pure channel. Yeah, there's not many.
Thank you.
Know anybody like you.
Thank you.
You're bringing through. And thank you. What I really want to thank you for is thank you for your willingness to be vulnerable and to share your gifts in the way that you're doing.
Oh, well,
yeah, it's been.
Thank you for the safe place to do it.
Well,
the fact that I actually channeled on YouTube was like, oh, that was, because I was sure I was never going to do that again. So even I have my own invulnerabilities, So it was it was a nice breakthrough for me today. So thank you all for being part of that.
Yeah, I don't know if people realize what this means to channel live on YouTube for Summer. It's.
Well, you're gonna be under scrutiny or whatever, but I think I'm over all of that now, so it's not bad. Yeah, it'll reach who it needs to reach, whether they're skeptical or not. It's okay. Yeah. I think it's probably a really great audience here today. So thank you all.
They love you. I mean, like the love is just pouring in the chat. It's like there's hearts and more hearts and more hearts.
Oh,
So,
thank you. I can't see the
I'm
chat.
hoping
So
that
yeah.
you're gonna really feel a boost of energy and not a pull of energy, because it's very difficult to go into full body channeling. Wow.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I love you.
I love you, Summer, so very much. Thank you for your time today. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you.